I guarantee you half the people on the association, if not all of them, work from home. Why are we buying a building? From me to you, I mean, I think this is happening everywhere. There's so much money going into these associations. All right, today we're going to be looking at some fraudulent activity that has been happening inside the East Polk County Realtor Association, which I'm actually a part of. A lot of this timing is ironic. I'm going to jump in and give you my thoughts on it and why I think the Real Estate Association, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to last, and I'll tell you why. But either way, let's listen to what Grady Judd has to say. I'll pause in there and jump in when I can, okay?
Good Friday afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. And this is going to take a few minutes to roll out, but I really think that the people who want to know and need to know will be comfortable with the extra few minutes. We're going to talk today for a few minutes about the East Polk County Association of Realtors and their ex-executive director, Jennifer Garula Mers, M-E-R-S, Mers. Here's what's important to understand. This all started in about 2021, 2022, when a realtor by the name of R.J. Webb was elected the president of the association. And he began to notice...
Which, by the way, shout out to RJ. I've seen him a few times. Obviously, being in the industry, you run into these people. Don't know him really personally, but I know he's doing a lot online. One of those things being cleaning up the chain of lakes in Winter Haven. You know, there's been a lot of activity going on, people playing loud music, so on and so forth. So he's doing a good job.
Notice things that were inappropriate. So as president of the association, at the board meetings, he challenged the executive director to...
Which, two things. Sorry for cutting it. I had no idea he was a part of the association. I had no idea that his family's been in the industry for a long time. I thought he was just a dude in the industry. So I'm still learning myself.
To see documents, to see financials, to see information. The executive director absolutely refused to show the president of the association the appropriate documents. Not only that, the board of directors backed up the executive director, Jennifer Mers, as opposed to their own president, R.J. Webb. They said he was just trying to cause trouble. It was abundantly evident that there was a problem.
To them, he was trying to cause trouble, right? Because inside of these types of things, it's all normal play. What they're doing where money's kind of shifting here and there, it's all normal play. And when somebody jumps in and does this, it's like, dude, you're overreaching. You're causing trouble. Like, so I think when they say, hey, you're causing trouble for asking for this documentation or being so headstrong in an issue that's popping up, I think that they have conviction when they say that. Like, most people that are in these types of things or, you know, conducting fraudulent activity or just spending money that's not theirs, they think it's a normal thing. That's why they're doing it.
So this internal strife went on for a period of time, and RJ, who can provide more details for those in the association, finally personally brought lawsuit in order to stop this conduct and to stop what he believed to be the theft of funds. This is EPCAR's photograph of Jennifer Garula Mers.
Never met her before.
She ultimately, during the process...
Why is she a part of this association? I don't know. I think that's another story.
...of the lawsuit, which, by the way, they lost, was terminated from her job in August of 24. So this went on about 2 years before she was terminated. But we were also called in to do an investigation on September 16th of 24. Aha.
Now, I forgot to bring this up. For those of you who do not know, because I know probably half of the audience follows me from social media, or for real estate, and the other half is like, hey, I just want to know what's going on. I don't know if you come from my real estate channel or this channel here. You do not have to be a part of an association. I think we're going to cover that here a little later. But for the most part, if you won't have access to the MLS, right, the multiple listing service where you can put a listing in and all the realtors can see, and there used to be a little more information. Now they kind of retracted giving information like commissions and stuff like that for the reasons that you guys might know of, all the lawsuits and stuff that might have happened. But either way, so when you become a realtor, when you become a sales agent, you get your license, and then you're typically looking for an association to join to become a realtor. And they give you, and we're going to talk more about like, what the heck do they provide? Like, what do they do that I can't do? And I'm going to talk to you about some transactions that we had this year where it's like, we really didn't even need to be a part of an association at all to conduct this transaction.
There was more to it. So before we got into it to do this, we got into it to investigate David Stachwick. He's 55 from Weeki Now let me tell you about him. After RJ filed the lawsuit, and now this is still all civil, RJ and his father, who is a realtor, Webb's Real Estate, got a call from an Anthony. Hey, I'm Anthony from Chicago. Things are not going to end well if the lawsuit doesn't stop. You know, it needs to drop the lawsuit.
By the way, Grady Judd has to be the pioneer of sheriffs that are bringing these things to the public in the manner that he does. He's been doing this for years. A lot of reason for people that are coming to the area, they actually like Grady Judd. Some people don't like him, whatever. But before Instagram was even a thing, not TikTok, before Instagram was a thing, he was doing this type of stuff here. So,
or it won't end well. So at that time, John and RJ, who, by the way, recorded the conversation, said, "Are you threatening us? Are you threatening us?" Hey, I've run the streets of Chicago. I can just tell you, this may not end well. So that was the end of the phone call. Our detectives, which are the total, absolute best, took that anonymous phone call, allegedly from Anthony, threatening RJ and John Webb if they didn't drop their lawsuit, and did an investigation. Our detectives are so good that they found the phone.
Which, by the way, this is why I like Grady Judd. I mean, obviously the antics is funny, it's entertaining, but like, I think they get stuff done. And from me to you, that's just, I like getting stuff done. I'm a businessman myself. I have a team of real estate agents. We're all about finding solutions, getting to the bottom of those solutions there. So that's the part that I really do like about Grady Judd and the sheriffs of Polk.
They found where the phone was sold in Orlando. They found that the phone in Orlando was sold to a Michael Smith. Michael Smith bought the phone for David. David had been hired by Jennifer to do some paving. So as a result of being able to put the investigation together, and there was a lot of investigation, we charged David with extortion, a felony 2, tampering with evidence, a felony 3, and use of a two-way communication, a felony 3.
She hired I don't know, I guess allegedly, she hired him to do paving. And all of a sudden, he's making a phone call to a realtor on the association that's causing problems or asking for records about money and stuff. So I don't know. That shows you why his accent, Grady Judd was like playing that accent like it's the mafia or something like that.
Those charges are pending for threatening the Webbs because of the remarkable work. The lawsuit goes on. Now we're involved in the investigation. Along the way, in July of 24, While our detectives are doing that investigation, we arrest Jennifer for the first time for resisting arrest. Now, this is Epcar's picture of Jennifer, and this is what you look like after you've been investigated by the sheriff's office for a couple of years. So our detectives...
Which, by the way, she doesn't look bad, but it is funny. And in the real estate industry, you see these headshots of people, and typically when you meet them, they look nothing like they do in their headshots, right? So like even myself, like my last headshot that I took was 5 years ago or something like that. But I mean, it can go like 10, 20 years. And like I said, I'm not talking about the look of her, but he's obviously bringing it up like he's just hilarious. But either way, you'll notice that if you are in the industry, you know what I'm talking about.
The fraud unit began their investigation, and they determined in a criminal investigation what was also determined in a civil investigation, that there was more debauchery afoot. In fact, she was double paying herself. She was cutting checks direct, and she was doing direct deposit. We found where there were bonus payments to her. We found where there was credit card abuse. Now think about this for a second. While she's employed, she's using the credit card to buy personal grooming supplies, beauty products. This is why she's working, stealing their money. This is what she looks like after she can't buy any more grooming supplies and beauty products, and she's under investigation. So the investigation goes on. Our detectives working with the state attorney's office were able to obtain warrants for her arrest. She lived in Hernando County, where she was taken into custody on grand theft charges of more than $20,000. And I say this, East Polk County Association of Realtors Board of Directors at the time circled the wagon in her favor, as opposed to listening to RJ Webb and looking at the obvious information.
Now, let me just jump into it, just because, like, he's going to go on to talk maybe a little more details of what we already know, what you guys might have just found out here. From me to you, I mean, I think this is happening everywhere. There's so much money going into these associations. The question always pops up, like, when I first joined my brokerage, my first brokerage ever, they take a big cut so they can teach you how to, do real estate and all that stuff. And when I started to sell my own homes and get my own leads, and I was doing it on my own, I'd asked myself, I was like, why am I cutting 40, 50, 60% of my money with this person that did not help me at all, right? The same thing applies to the association. Let's just say you have 1,000 people in an association paying $1,000, so you have $1 million worth of funds going in. All I see that they provide us, as far as anything of value, is the MLS. Now, the MLS is where I can put a listing in, or I can go search for all the realtors that put their listings in the MLS, and I can get some information from the MLS. Here's my thoughts, right? And I've been calling this for about 2 years. It's very clunky. It's very old school. Zillow does it all. I'll be honest with you. Zillow has been acquiring everything. You have showing time, which a lot of, if you're an agent out there and you use the MLS and you set up where showings are autonomous or very streamlined, when somebody from a brokerage wants to take a look at your listing, they just click the time that they want to see it. Your sellers can maybe see it. It can ask for feedback on the home. It's very streamlined when it comes to seeing how many showings you've had and getting feedback. Well, Zillow owns that now. We have Follow a Boss as our CRM system where we communicate with all of our clients. If you follow us from our real estate channel, right? When you reach out to us there, we're talking to you through a CRM system. Zillow owns that. Zillow has been acquiring so much of the real estate industry. And then you have places like this where you're supposed to pay in and you got to pay to play so we can give you access to this old school clunky MLS, which in my opinion, it's almost like using the yellow pages compared to where we're at now. I mean, look, we have AI, we have a bunch of software. You have Zillow that's pulling data already from the appraiser site and all of that stuff that you almost don't get any value from using the MLS. Now, I would love to know if you're an agent out there, what you think about that, because your thoughts and my thoughts might be different. We're going to clear 100 homes closed this year on the team. We have a very small team of agents, but we've helped a lot of families out. And I would say more than 60 of those homes, we did not need to be a part of an association for it, which is mind-blowing to me, right? We do sell a lot of new construction homes, and a lot of the builders don't put their stuff on the MLS, especially if you're helping somebody build a home. But I would say more than 60% of our homes that we're going to close on, we did not need to be a part of an association, right? So in my opinion, it is like looking at the Yellow Pages phone book. It is an old school thing that's going to fade away. And I think most people, for the most part, you're probably going to be either working for Zillow or you're going to be providing value on your own, like we do on our team. And if you haven't checked out our real estate channel, More FLA Homes, I'll link it down below. Make sure you check that out. But that's just my thought. I know some of you are going to be realtors. Let me know. I might be missing something. Maybe you're like, well, no, they give us the association numbers and we get to see the reports of, homes closed versus on the market and all. Maybe there's things that I'm not using besides, listing your home on the MLS, which, by the way, in the future, this is what it's going to look like. You want to list a home. Oh, no, I can't put it on the MLS. I'm not a part of an association. Well, you could still put it on Zillow, can't you? You could still put it on Realtor.com, Redfin, which is owned by Zillow. Not Realtor.com. That's not owned by Zillow. But you could still get it to those places. And most buyers are, I can guarantee that most people that are buying, they're not asking agents to send them things anymore on emails from the MLS. They're clicking the like button on Zillow. That's just my thought. I would love to know what everybody else thinks about that, because I think we do things a little differently on our end. Now, we still use the MLS, but I do think that I don't know. For the money, let's just say an association gets paid $1 million. What do they do? Somebody told me, I was like, well, what is East Polk doing? They're like, well, they just bought the new building a year or two ago. That I was just told that this morning, which I had no idea about. And I'm like, okay, the value that they provide is in software, right? Giving us access to the MLS and all of this. Why are they buying a building? Like, what is that? They don't even, we got phones now. We have AI. We have all of this stuff where software and data is probably the best thing for us, or the quickest way to get things done. And they're buying a building. I can guarantee you half the people on the association, if not all of them, work from home. Why are we buying a building? So once again, I don't know about the building purchase. I don't even know if that's true, but somebody told me that this morning when I brought it up to their attention. Because when I was asking, like, what value do they bring? That's what they said. They're like, oh yeah, they just bought a new building over there. And I'm like, that's even why? We could probably go to the building they have now, and there's one person in there probably not even picking up a phone. You guys get where I'm going with that, right? So
when you have an executive director that looks the board of directors in the eyes, looks the president in the eyes, and she works for them and refuses to produce documents, in our world, we call that a clue. But they still supported her and forced RJ and his father to go out on their own to sue in order.
Shout out to you, RJ. I mean, I think that it takes a little umph to get things like that. Imagine most people would just kind of like, okay, nobody's listening to me. I tried, whatever. I mean, the fact that you took your time, which I'm assuming you make your money selling homes, right? So to take your time to do this, which you don't really gain anything from that. Shout out to you, bro. That's cool.
To try to save EPCAR. The sad circumstances is EPCAR is really on the ropes right now. They're all but broke. In fact, they're in the process of maybe merging with another association so that they can continue on.
For what, Grady?
East Polk County.
Grady, I might not just let me sell homes, brother. I got my license. Everything's up to date. Like, why do I need to merge with you know what? I tell you what, if this is what I might do, which the problem is, like, I don't know. I'd have to find out the whole listing thing and make sure we're not skipping any steps. But for us to be able to sell over 100 homes in a year and really not use the MLS, don't get me wrong, we do it with listings, right? Because it's, you can just click go and then it uploads it to Realtor, Redfin, all that good stuff. We might not need to do that. I'll be honest with you. Here's the thing. I might be able to take a home, and if it's a nice enough home, if it's compelling and it's selling, right, I could do a tour of it, put it on YouTube, get views, and sell it straight from YouTube. And you could just bypass the whole association thing. As long as you have your agreements put into place, you're doing everything by law correctly, you should be fine. How is this place going broke, bruh? How are you guys going broke? You guys, I'm a part of this association. How are they going broke? You're getting money. And you have what is the, and let me know, like in the comment section down below, if any of you are a part of an association and you know more than me, because I may be naive. What's the overhead? Is it the new building that's purchased? Like, what is the overhead? Is it just paying salaries to people for what reason? For them to vote on things? Let me know down below.
Association of Realtors has been in place for decades and decades and decades. There was no checks and balances by the board of directors. They took her job and her side, they took her side while she's doing her job. She very rarely came to the office. She was hired during the COVID years.
What did I say?
There was no follow-ups. The bookkeeper just did what the executive director said. The executive director hired her own staff. So there was no one to say, whoa, there's a problem here. And I understand why they didn't, because when the new president comes in and says there's a problem here, the executive board of directors ignores him.
That's sad. So that goes to show you that this is a dying business, not the real estate business, right? There's a lot of people that are great out there that are helping provide value. By the way, if you're not providing value and you're just one of those old school realtors, I think you're fading away as well, right? But where was I going to with that? Okay, so, RJ steps in and starts to shake the bush, and he's like, something's not right here. We're going broke. Where's the money going? And for everybody to say, this is like, leave us alone, it's like in their mind, the system is so strong in what they're doing that they believe they're just like, dude, why are you causing chaos? Life is good right now. I would say check all associations. There's probably people out there pooping their pants right now.
Chastises him, suggests he not only leave the presidency, but leave the association. But who was right here? Who tried to save the association here?
Great job. So I was talking to my lender maybe 3 months ago. We were getting breakfast, and I was saying the same thing, right? I was like, man, I just don't see value in it. Like, why do I do it? Like, it's $1,000 or something like that. Like, we just pay it by the end of the year, whatever. But it's such a dying business, man. It's the pay. There's too much at our disposal now, i.e. Zillow, right? And just other softwares where, hey, if I wanted to know how much somebody owed on their home, like, I can do that. If I wanted to see what they purchased it for, like, it's so easy to get those things. Whereas before, it used to be this data that, I have, and you need to pay me for it, right? I don't see value in that. I see value in looking in the market, seeing where there's a void and filling the void. And that's what we do. But this whole thing right here, this is kind of like a catalyst, one of the major catalysts, but I think the associations are going to go away soon. There's going to be people that work for themselves, that provide great value in doing things that Zillow can't do. And then everybody else is going to work for Zillow. Just going to pay them money. You're going to pick up calls for, hello, this is Zillow Real Estate. I'm so-and-so. How can I help you, right? That's just where we're going to with that. I'm going to let the video finish off, and then I'll hop off.
And in the process, David, aka Anthony, threatened them if they didn't drop the lawsuit.
My boy had a throwaway
This is
phone.
a made.
He had a throwaway phone. He thought he was going to get away with it. Hey, things aren't going to be nice, right? He's like, all right, I'm going to get rid of the phone, and they still got him.
For television movie. It didn't have to be that way. Any association, whether you're Little League, T-ball, any volunteer association has to have independent checks and balances. And EPCAR didn't have those in place, as they should have, and then ignored the person who tried to bring to their attention, we're being ripped off by our own executive director. The good news is most of that board has termed off, and the new interim CEO came to us and reported this criminal allegation that our fraud unit followed up on, and ultimately caused Jennifer to get arrested today. Jennifer is currently in the Hernando County Jail under no bond, and cases are proceeding against her, as well as her, what we believe to be co-conspirator,
One time,
to try to stop the lawsuit.
So when I first started real estate, right, and I was doing something that that realtors in the industry weren't doing, because it was such an old industry. Like, people were like dinosaurs, not necessarily their age, but just how they operated. And I remember I put a home under contract, and I put photos of the home on my Instagram years ago, and I was like, hey, under contract, yeah. And I had somebody from the association reach out to me about this, about a picture of a home going on Instagram. And whether I was right or wrong about that, the fact that I saw this happening, it was like this power that was coming in, and that was the value that they had, that, hey, I'm going to step in and check you. I was like, okay, like, you obviously don't provide any quality value, so this is what you need to do to prove your spot. That just shows me that it's not going to last long. It was going to go away. And so I think that I want success for everybody out there, but like, at the end of the day, like, hey, look, if you provide value, you're going to do great, right? So make sure you check out our More FLA Homes channel. I'll link that down below. I'm going to be coming on to this channel a lot more, so make sure you're subscribed. Catch you guys on the next one.